Hello everyone, this is Dr. Kalpana and you're watching my YouTube channel Pharmacy Lessons Made Easy. In my previous video, I have talked about rheology, viscosity and elasticity. In elasticity, we have discussed about Hooke's law of elasticity, about Young's modulus or modulus of elasticity, which was followed by the definition of viscosity, how Newton's law of viscous flow came into picture, what is the unit of viscosity, and the most important thing, why we are discussing rheology in pharmaceutical sciences, why it is important. After that, I'm moving towards different types of flow of fluids. If you wish to watch about rheology, viscosity, and elasticity, you can watch my previous video whose link I shall share in the description box of this particular video. The next topic is different types of flow of liquids. Actually, we mainly focus on liquids in pharmaceutical sciences, but overall, we see fluids. Fluids include both liquids as well as gases, and their viscosity is actually dependent on temperature. Can you guess what is the correlation between temperature and viscosity of liquids and gases? Yes, viscosity of liquids fall with the rise in temperature. That is quite obvious. If we are heating liquids, it becomes thinner or less viscous. That means the resistance to their flow will decrease and viscosity will also decrease. But you'll be surprised to know that the gase's viscosity rises with increase in temperature. In case of liquids, the fall in viscosity is due to lesser intramolecular forces of attraction, and we can correlate it with the similar equation like Arrhenius postulated for chemical kinetics, that is eta is equal to a e raised to power ev by rt, where a is a constant known depending on the molecular weight and molecular volume of the liquid, and EV is the activation energy constant which is used to initiate the flow between the molecules. R is, as we already know, it's a gas constant. So, based on Newton's law of viscous flow that we started in the previous video, the fluids are classified majorly into two categories. These two categories are Newtonian fluids and non-Newtonian fluids. So those fluids which will follow the law, Newton's law of viscous flow, are known as Newtonian fluids, whereas those who do not follow it will fall under the category of non-Newtonian ones. So this classification is, what is the basis for this classification? Their behavior as per rheology. That means how they actually flow. On that criteria, they have classified majorly into two categories. First is Newtonian and second is non-Newtonian. Now, if we classify non-Newtonian liquids, because Newtonian will be having the similar kind of viscosity which is not at all dependent on the temperature, but if with respect to temperature its viscosity may change or may not change in case of non-Newtonian liquids. So for non-Newtonian liquids, if that is dependent on time, then it will be called as time dependent non-Newtonian fluids like thixotropic, antithixotropic, rheopexic and negative rheopexy. Here there is slight change. It is negative rheopexic. It is another type. And in case of time independent non-Newtonian fluids, these are plastics, pseudoplastics or dilatants. Moreover, if we plot the rate of shear or shear strain rate with respect to the shear stress, that is called a rheogram. But if we plot the rate of shear as a function of viscosity, then that is called a viscogram. Viscogram. Okay, so rate of shear, that is shear strain rate, it will be the same, but if we plot shear stress here, that will be called rheogram. But if we keep viscosity here, that will be called viscogram. Okay, that will be called viscogram. If we talk about the different types, let's have a look upon Newtonian flow first. So those liquids that can be pure chemicals or that can be low molecular weight compounds solution, they directly follow Newtonian's law of viscosity. That means their viscosity values will remain constant with respect to time and the shear stress you are applying. It means there is a direct proportionality exists between the rate of shear and the shear stress. So such fluids, actually their viscosity is independent of the rate of shear, but it will depend on the composition, the pressure and the temperature of the liquid. For Newtonian fluids, there are few important points which you have to remember. First thing is, if we plot a rheogram, that will be a linear one and it will pass through origin like this, okay? That indicates that minimal shear applied will induce a shear. If you are applying slight shear, so that will produce a shear stress. The same way, the slope of each curve is fluidity. The slope, the angle that it is making, this curve is making, will be called fluidity. Fine. So the slope will be called fluidity and the inverse of slope will be called viscosity of the fluid. Their shear stress and shear rate are directly proportional. Therefore, a single viscometric point can characterize the liquid rheology. If we talk about Newtonian fluids, this viscogram will be a straight line on the contrary to rheogram, which is passing through the origin in a straight line. If we have viscosity here in place of shear stress, then this curve will be like this. So that means whatever viscosity was there at the start of the rate of shear, it will be the same. It will be the same. Fine. So rheogram will be different from the viscogram for Newtonian fluids. As I already told you about different viscosity values of the common liquids like castor oil, glycerin, absolute alcohol, water in my previous video. In the next video, we shall talk about the other types of fluids like non-Newtonians more particularly, which are time independent and time dependent. We shall talk about plasticity, plastic flow, dilatant flow, pseudoplastic flow and thixotropy, rheopexy, negative rheopexy in quite detail in my next video. So keep watching Pharmacy Lessons Made Easy. Moreover, what we talked about today in this particular video, the different types of fluids, Newtonian and non-Newtonian are the major categories. Non-Newtonians are further subdivided into time-independent and time-dependent fluids. Time-independent fluids include plastic, pseudoplastic, dilatant fluids, whereas time-dependent non-Newtonian fluids include thixotropic, antithixotropic, rheopexic, and negative rheopexic fluids. We have talked about what is rheogram and what is viscogram, and in detail about the Newtonian flow. In the next video, we shall talk about the remaining ones and the biological applications of rheology. That means in our biological system, how rheology plays an important part. This ends up the video. Hope you have liked the video. Do click on the like button, subscribe my channel and share it on social media. Keep gaining knowledge as Knowledge is true if it is based on logics, not memory. Thank you. Have a nice day.